Day 643 of doing a LeetCode problem every day until I get a job. All right, y'all, we're back again. Another day, another LeetCode problem where we're doing daily LeetCode problems. In the day, we have question number 3379, transformed array. The difficulty level is easy, so you already know we're going to keep the solution as simple and easy to understand as well. But before we get started, y'all, don't forget to like, hype, subscribe, comment, and share. And if you need any new Apple AirPods, go ahead and check out that link in the description so you can get you some. Now let's see what the question says. You're given an integer array nums that represents a circular array. Your task is to create a new array result of the same size following these rules. For each index I where 0 is less than or equal to I and I is less than nums.length, perform the following independent actions. If nums of I is greater than 0, start at index I and move nums of I steps to the right in a circular array. Set results of I to the value of the index where you land. If nums of I is equal to 0, start at index I and move the absolute value of nums of I steps to the left in the circular array. Set results of I to the value of the index where you land. If nums of I is equal to 0, set result of I to nums of I. Return the new array result. Since nums is circular, moving past the last element wraps around to the beginning, and moving before the first element wraps around back to the end. All right, y'all, so that sounds simple enough, but let's go ahead and take a look at these examples anyway, just to make sure that we are doing this problem correctly. So in example 1, we have our input nums equals an array of integers 3, -2, 1, and 1. Our output is an array of integers 1, 1, 1, and 3. So let's take a look at this explanation. First, let me go ahead and copy and paste this over here. So this will be our input. Boom. And then this will be the result array that we are creating. Boom, right? So we're going to start from nums of 0, which is this 3 right here, that is equal to 3. If we move 3 steps to the right, we reach nums of 3. Boom, so we set result of 0 should be 1, because remember, we are setting the result value to the value of the index where we land. So with this 3, we're moving 3 to the right, and we land on 1. So that means we're going to set this index to 1 right here. Boom. So right here in our result array, we could put 1. Boom. Now we're at -2. So -2 is going to go to the left. It says for nums of 1 that is equal to -2. If we move 2 steps to the left, we reach nums of 3. So the result of 1 should be 1. So if we go 2 to the left, we go 1, then it wraps around, right? Because it's a circular array. So we go 1 here, but we're going 2. Remember, absolute value of if it's -2, we're going to the left, the absolute value of that, right? So since this is a negative, the absolute value of this would be 2, so we're going 2 to the left. So we go 2, we go 1 would be here, and then 2 we wrap around here to this. Boom. So that means we're going to set this index 1, to 1, because after that we landed on a 1. When we took this 2 steps to the left, we landed on a 1, so we're going to change that 2 to a 1. Boom. Now we're looking at this 1. So this 1, we're going to go for nums of 3, which is equal to 1. If we move 1 step to the right, we reach, we're at nums of 2. For nums of 2, that is equal to 1. If we move 1 step to the right, we reach nums of 3, so the result should be 1. So this is 1. We move 1 step to the right, that's a 1, so we put a 1 right here because we landed on a 1. Boom. Now this is when we're going to go 1 to the right, loop back around to this 3. So it says for nums of 3 that is equal to 1. If we move 1 step to the right, we reach nums of 0. So result of 3 should be 3. So in this case, we move 1 to the right, it wraps around to 3. We landed on 3, so we put a 3 right here. Boom. And that's our output. That's how we got this output from this input. Boom. Boom. So now that we have seen that, let's take a look at example 2. Once again, I'm going to copy and paste this. This is our input. Boom. And then we could get rid of this as we go through the result ourselves. Boom. So in example 2, our input nums equals an array of integers -1, 4, and -1. Our output is -1, -1, and 4. So let's see how they got that. So it says for nums of 0, that is equal to -1. If we move 1 step to the left, we reach nums of 2. So the result of 0 should be -1. So Once again, our first index 0 is a negative, means we're going to move to the left 1. So we go to the left 1. We land on negative 1 again, so we could just put negative 1 here. Boom. Then for nums of 1 that is equal to 4, if we move 4 steps to the right, we reach nums of 2. So the result of 1 should be negative 1. So now we have 4. So now we got to go 4 steps. So this would be 1, this would be 2, this would be 3, and then on the fourth one, we land on negative 1 again. So we put a negative 1 right here. Boom. Then finally, last but not least, for nums of 2 that is equal to negative 1, if we move 1 step to the left, we reach nums of 1. So the result of 2 should be 4. So boom, we have a negative 1 right here. That means we're going to move 1 to the left. We move 1 to the left, we land on 4. So that means this should be a 4. Boom. So, and that's how we got our output, negative 1, 4. Boom. So now that we understand the question, y'all, let's get into the fun part, the actual solution. Solution is not that difficult at all. So let's get into it. Now, the first thing we want is we want to get the total number of elements in the input array. So we'll say let n equal nums.count. Boom. Then we're going to create a result array that will store the transform value. So this output right here, we need to create this array as well, and we could just call it result. So we'll come right here and we'll say declare variable called result, set that equal to an array of integers, come outside of that and put the parentheses. Boom. Now we're going to iterate through each index of the input array by saying for I n 0 ... less than n, we'll open up the brackets. And then we need to compute the target index by shifting I by nums of I modulo n ensures wrapping it within array bounds. So we'll declare variable called variable called index, and we will set that equal to, open up the parentheses, I plus nums square bracket I, and then we could just mod by n. And once again, that mod n is going to ensure wrapping within array bounds. Now we need to handle negative indices by wrapping them back into the valid range. So we're going to come underneath this and we'll say while index is less than 0, we'll open up the brackets and we'll say index plus equals n. Boom. Then we need to append the value of the computed index to the results array by coming right here underneath this while, and we'll say result.append, open up the parentheses, nums square bracket index. Now all we need to do is return the transformed array by coming right here, and we can say return results, y'all. Boom. That should be all she wrote. Let's give it a run. Make sure it runs properly. It's accepted, so let's go ahead and submit it. Make sure it's still accepted after we submit it. Let's see, and look at that, y'all. 14 milliseconds beats 100% of users. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I like to see, y'all. So, with that being said, y'all, I hope y'all learned something today, and I hope to see y'all here tomorrow for another day, another LeetCode problem. See y'all then.